is all very exciting. I'm really interested to hear how each of you got into theater, whether it was being in a school play or drama class when you were a kid, or you saw a play or a musical.
Well, I actually, I was fat and adorable as a newborn baby. So at about 6 months old, my mother volunteered me to play the baby in a local production of Fiddler on the Roof. And when you have a baby that you're willing to loan out for a pack of smokes and a clean ride home, then you start getting volunteered for every production that needs a baby. So I don't ever remember not being involved in theater or the arts. So that's how I got involved.
Well, you guys, when I was in kindergarten, we did a little class play, and I think I just dominated everything. I directed the other kids. Yeah. I played Anansi the spider from yeah. And my mom tells the stories back to me, but all the other kids were like, we need to get the magic ring. And then I step up, ha 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 ha, the ring is mine, So, yeah, I've always really enjoyed being on stage. And I've taken any excuse to be on stage. I've done ballet and I've done tap dancing and singing and any way to get myself on stage. I even used to get excited just to do book reports just because everyone had to listen to me,
I grew up in the Arctic, so it was just snow and ice. So I grew up as a pro figure skater. And so it's all performance to me since it's all the same thing. There's a moment of inertia when you do a spin. There's a moment when the audience gets what you're doing. There's an arc to a jump. There's an arc to a character. So it's all the same to me. It doesn't matter how I put out, and I do put out.
I first caught the bug. I saw the original production of Into the Woods when I was a little boy on Broadway. Thank you. I get credit just for being there. And I fell in love with stagecraft. I fell in love with Sondheim. I fell in love with storytelling. And it's always been about storytelling.
I guess my start was also like these queens at a really young age. And I was the kid who loved anything spooky or scary, horror movies. And so I'd have haunted houses in the basement of our house, and all the neighborhood kids would come through. And over the years, the haunted houses got bigger and bigger, and we moved them into the woods. And when I was in 7th grade, my dad took the chain off the chainsaw for me, which was really exciting. And I'd write scripts and, direct the theater and just kind of went from there. But I've not had a traditional theater background.
Are there any performers, cabaret performers, musical theater performers that when you were a kid you really looked up to and that informed your performance style?
The one thing I was always very clear on was that I never would wait for someone to allow me to perform. I would always create it. I would always do it. So I don't need anyone's permission to create, ever.
Amen.
I was just really... I had I would get obsessed with movies, and I would just watch it on a loop. The movie would end, and then I'd rewind it, you guys. Cassette tapes. But I was watching Death Becomes Her on a loop at age 7, saying, coming into my mom's bedroom, my ass! I could see my ass! So I just would get obsessed with movies, and I'd learn every single line to the movie, and I'd watch how Meryl Streep makes a moment funny, and I can draw Lucille Ball and I Love Lucy was another one. I was watching Ab Fab at a very early age.
I think mine would be the Tony Awards. I didn't know what the hell it was the first time it came up on TV, but there was Patti LuPone belting out at the top of her lungs, and I said, who's that fella? I love him. She's such a handsome lady. And I learned very quickly that you had to either be Team Patti or Team Bernadette, because they're like the sharks and the jets. They do not get along. But Patti LuPone, I just think that she has such a strength about her, no matter what she's performing. It could be a very vulnerable, weak moment, and she still has such power in every little movement that she makes, every note she sings. So I idolize her to this day. and I wish that she would drop that restraining order.
I would say for me, one of the biggest inspirations is actually downstairs at this very moment, because I grew up worshiping Elvira. And you know, Cassandra Peterson is here and she's signing, and still to this day, she is so inspiring to me because she was someone who could, as a character, as a drag performer, could appear in TV shows. She had her own movies. She could do talk show appearances. It was this kind of performance that wasn't just for the stage and it wasn't limited to a script. And I think for me, that really helped lead me to drag in a lot of ways, because I loved that idea of someone who could be that character all the time.
Do any of you have some funny stories about when things went very wrong and how you handled it?
Well, being involved in community theater a lot when I was younger. God bless the community theater. It is truly a team effort there. You're kind of at the mercy of what's either in the costume shed out back, or in your mother's closet, or at the Goodwill. And as a little round boy, many, many things did not fit me. So I was playing like the singing waiter in Sweet Charity with Montel Williams' daughter. They had taken these safety pins in this 2 pairs of pants. They cut 2 pairs of pants up and taken safety pins and duct tape to reconstruct them, these tuxedo pants. And as I went to reach for the high note on the opening night, every single freaking safety pin popped on the side and the pants fell off. And I was promoted to a much larger role after that.
I was playing Jack in Into the Woods, and I know, can you believe it? And, so if you're familiar, you know, it's often done with a paper mache cow, milky white, and it's often done with, you know, a big scrim, and then there's the bar that holds the scrim down, and then so, you know, when we go into the woods, the scrim lifts and all the houses disappear, and all of a sudden we're in the woods. So I'm walking my little paper mache cow through the doorway, and they were too quick on the cue, and the scrim goes flying up, hooks the back legs of the cow, and the cow just flies away. And I've got the whole scene is me and the cow. So I'm sitting there like, Milky White, please, there's spooks in this forest. And they lowered the scrim. They didn't bring it all the way down because they were scared they were going to crush the cow. So they kind of just lowered it enough that I could pull the stupid cow off the thing and then just get right back on it.
I was playing in summer stock in Indiana. Come on, Warsaw. Come on, Wagon Wheel. I was playing the mayor of Whoville in Seussical the musical. I had all the time in the world. I get fully dressed. I walk on stage and realize I'm not wearing my body mic. And so I proceeded to scream for the first scene. I was just, the poor girl playing my wife, I was like shouting into her face. Whoops.
I think the one that gives me the most nightmares is actually from our Showgirls show that so if you know the movie Showgirls, actually coming up, I'm doing my 20th annual screening because I started doing it when I was really young. And but back in the early days, we had this paper mache volcano, and I would get crammed into it, and they'd stuff me in there. Sometimes, for the theatrical purposes, I'd be stuffed in that volcano while the audience came in. So I'd sit there and could hear the audience talking the whole time. Like, oh, Peaches has gained some weight. You know, look at the picture. So then I would finally come out. It'd be my turn to come out. And the way we did the effects was they had taped fucking smoke bombs at the top of it, and they would give me a lighter, and I would light the smoke bombs as the goddess dancers were running down the aisles, and then I would watch as the sparks singed through my pantyhose and burnt my legs until the thing caught on fire. And I was stuck there trying to put out the fire. You know, like my prop that I'm stuffed inside of is on fire. And the audience knew it and they were cheering. I mean, that's not a dream. That happened in my life. And I kind of like pushed it away and burst out of it. And we didn't do the smoke bombs anymore. We got a fog machine. Can you believe it? Yeah, a fogger.
I would pay to see that, though.
This for the three people on the panel who have or are competing on RuPaul's Drag Race. How did sort of the experience of being in theater, where you have to perform without a net and things can go wrong and you have to think on your feet? How did that help you? If it did it give you an edge in the competition?
I think the thing that I was able to use the most was the ability to take critique and know that it's about the work and not about the person, because you have to be in any form of live entertainment, to be in show business at all, you have to be able to let people critique you and know that it's maybe just about the costume, maybe it's just about the character you're putting forth, and it all comes down to, did it work or did it not work? And you have to take your ego out of it. And, you know, water off a duck's back was just my way of reminding. A lot of people think that means, oh, just don't listen to it. No, it means absolutely listen to it, but don't hold on to it. Let it hit you, absorb what you can, and then let all the negative shit that's not going to help you just go.
Absolutely. I would tag on to that and say, you know, you mentioned before about Murphy's Law. Anything in the theater that can go wrong will. Drag Race, it's not to say that everything goes wrong, but it's sort of like you need to be prepared for anything or to feel like it's going wrong, even if it's the way it's meant to be. You kind of have to be ready for whatever's thrown at you. And that is very much the beauty of the theater that we've all been talking about, that like, yes and. That's the rule of improv. It's thrown at you, you say yes and.
Well, and I think that especially when we got to the John Waters challenge, I had what, 500 or 600 eggs thrown at me. My theater training had prepared me to not be afraid to be ugly, because there's some kind of beauty in the art of being grotesque. And that's why I think I was so willing to just, pelt me with eggs, do it now. Slam it in my eye, Trixie. That was afterwards at the hotel, but.
We talked a lot about creating characters. We talked about Elvira. All of you have done different characters. For people out there who want to pursue this, how do you go about creating a character, you know, that will resonate with the audience, be a well-rounded, full-on character, not a two-dimensional character? What goes into that process?
It's so much about your point of view. You know, I think you can go to every acting school and you can learn this and learn that, but I really, truly believe that the best acting training you can have is living a full life and a complete life. And thusly, it's that perspective that you gain out in the world that you bring to each role that makes it personal. Walter Bobby, who directed the Chicago revival that's still running in New York, he said, you know, the show's different every night. If there's a different Roxy and Velma in the show, it's different every night, and it's all about their point of view. He said, like, I remember hearing him talk about a Velma. I need to see her point of view. That's what it's about. And so it's about bringing something personal that you have to say to a character that's already been written.
I'm sure all of us have at some point. Have you revisited roles years later? Right. Yeah, I've played the same role on multiple occasions. But no, any role that I've played where there's a span of time between them, I find that the second time is a completely different experience for me, because my life is completely different at that point. I have a different view on the world and a different view on interpersonal relationships. So I love that. I love revisiting roles. A lot of people don't like to. I think it's one of the most thrilling things to do. Yeah.
Do any of you have a dream role, either a role that exists or a person you, fictional or non-fictional, that you'd like to play on stage?
I want to play Alban in La Cage aux Folles. I want to do that now at this moment. I'm ready.
Can you talk a little bit about when you sang at the logo honors? That was so phenomenal.
Well, I got to sing I Am What I Am for Harvey Fierstein. And it's a life-changing moment for me. It's one of those, like, I never get nervous, ever. I've been performing my entire life. But I was so nervous that I don't remember actually performing the number. What I remember is hitting the final pose, seeing the door open on the side, and I just walked right, I didn't go to the dressing room, I went right outside and started to smoke. And they came out and they said, Harvey would like to meet you. And I said, well, bring him out here, because I need to smoke. And he came out and he hugged me and he was still crying. And he said, you don't know the weight of what you just did. He said, what you gave to me and what you gave to the world is something so beautiful that can never be recreated. So thank you for that gift. And then that's when I lost it. And I've always wanted to play that role, but since then I feel like it's my mission and my duty, something that I have to do for myself. I have to play this role. So I hope I...
Do it.
Well, fund it and I will do it. Next DragCon, we'll do it.
I really, really believe in gender blind casting because it should be about the performance and the right person for the right role, and that goes both ways. That means females playing male roles and males playing female roles. And I got into a huge fight with a professor. Professor. I got in a huge fight with my classical theater teacher because I wanted to read for Queen Gertrude just in class, and he was like, no, we're not at a place yet where men can play women and it's not comical. And I was like, I don't identify with male characters. I can, but I always am drawn towards, very specific female characters. And I think I should just be allowed to play them. So my dream role is Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd. and of course I want to bring comedy to it. But for me, it's all about that last moment, spoilers, you guys. But it's all about that last moment when she sees her lies unraveling in front of her, and Sweeney Todd has figured out everything that she's lied to him about. And she goes, I never lied. Okay, I lied, but it's because, and that's the moment that I want to play. And I want to play it so earnestly and honestly that you forget what's between my legs.
I feel like such a douche because Alban and Lovett are two of mine for sure. But I'll add to that list that I'm sure the others will relate to. I've always wanted to play Miss Hannigan in Annie.
Are there any theater productions that are sort of more drag-oriented theater productions that have really resonated with any of you or meant a lot to you?
Well, I did. I'll try and keep it brief, but I did Hedwig twice in Seattle, and I did it the week that we opened was the week that it was announced that I was on Drag Race. So no episodes had aired, but it was announced that I'd be on. So, it sold a lot of tickets. I got wonderful praise for it. I had the most amazing time. I lost my voice every other day because I would just give it on stage and then I'd, drink hot toddies and any excuse. And I really loved that performance. And then they told me, we'd like to remount this again in about a year. So a year later, I've won Drag Race, and I'm doing the role again. It was same production, same cast, same new costumes, but because Mama had some money now. Mama had a reputation to finally bring up to that level. But and I got to tell you guys. That remount, to me, I think that's as close as I'll ever get to doing Hedwig justice, because, there's a lot of great things that come with winning Drag Race and being on TV and having your career skyrocket overnight. There's a lot of shitty shit that comes with it, too. And when I was just this little bright-eyed, bushy-tailed drag queen playing Hedwig the first time, I was like, oh, she's so sad. But then I played her again after just having more life experience. And I was like, okay, now I feel like this is Hedwig. Now this is Hedwig. Skip that one I won all the awards for a year ago. This is the one. You know?
Anyone else want to?
It's not one that is already associated with drag, but since we're putting our wishes out there, and I think there could be parts for everyone on this panel in this show. Yes, even you, Deven, you get a part too. I think like an all, and I'll put this in quotations, an all-female 9 would be amazing. So yeah, wishes.
I would like to see Moulin Rouge be a musical.
Unfortunately, I could talk to you all day, but we have to wrap this up. I've been told we have like 2 minutes. Anyone, you have like final thoughts about advice for anyone out here who maybe wants to pursue theater?
All drag is theater.
Yeah.
Okay. All drag is theater. And even if you're a drag queen and you're not conscious of how you've created a character, just to get into the costume, you're already playing a character, whether you're thinking about it or not. So all drag is theater. And second of all, never be afraid to create your own work, like Deven said, because the roles won't always come to you. Sometimes you have to just like take over a theater or do it guerrilla style or however, but if you have it burning inside of you, you gotta get it out or you will just hate yourself for it.
I agree with that, and I would add just right on top of it, just don't be afraid to try things. Just don't be afraid. That's it.
And it all in the same train of thought. Don't filter yourself. Sometimes the most beautiful things that will come are when you fall or your mistakes, and there's a real gift there in the theater. So whether it's drag, whether it's theater, just do you, and people will respond to that authenticity.
Thank you so much, everyone. This was a real thrill. Thank you, everyone, for watching.